Well, a very good morning to you all watching us here in Nairobi and across the country. Happy birthday, Vivian.
Thank you so much.
So I do not want to ask the next question, but we are always young at heart.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Very young at heart always.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us. You know, this is Good Morning Kenya. You're just in time for the Good Morning Kenya show and definitely Good Morning Kenya News, where we keep you abreast with what is happening across the country and definitely across the borders. I'll be bringing you news, what Mike has already alluded to, and that is politicians will always be politicians, Mike. And they could be speaking from different scripts, but politics always come to play. So President William Ruto saying, you know, politicians, or at least leaders, should be able to traverse different parts of the country. So calls of unity dominated, you know, most speeches over the weekend, the political speeches.
Yes.
I'll be bringing you up to speed with all that. And there is a hint that the, you know, the budget, that is the 2024-2025 budget, could actually be increased to 4 trillion shillings. So let's brace ourselves in as far as taxes are concerned. But right now, I want to start with the news where President William Ruto has stated that all regions in the country will enjoy equal share of the national cake in the government's development agenda. The president, while gracing an interdenominational church service in Kimilili, marking an end of his 4-day tour of the Bungoma County, also called for national unity, saying attempts to balkanize the country along ethnic lines is retrogressive. Give us a minor begins our bulletin this morning.
President William Ruto on Sunday concluded his 4-day visit in Bungoma County in Western Kenya region, gracing an interdenominational church service in Kimilili. The president assuring the country that no region will be favored in sharing of national resources.
Tuko na kazi ya barabara, tuko na kazi ya maji, tuko na kazi ya stima, tuko na program ya housing.
Calls for national unity also dominated the service as the president urged leaders to shun divisive politics and ethnic balkanization of the country.
Let us focus our energy, let us focus our attention in the transformation of Kenya, not in the division of our country.
He, however, defended lawmakers criticized for shuttling outside their constituencies, saying it was the only way to understand people's needs for legislative purposes.
I want to encourage you, as members of parliament, to represent your constituencies effectively, but to also move around Kenya so that you understand and discharge your responsibilities better of oversight and of legislation as you do it for the people of Kenya equally.
Leaders accompanying the president, including Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki, Western Kenya governors and lawmakers joined the unity call, saying the country must move away from elections-related political divisions.
Hatutaki tulete ukabila kwa Kenya na bali Mheshimiwa Rais ndio anasimamia taifa nzima, Afrika nzima kwa mambo ya amani.
Tupendane, tuheshimiane, tuachane na mambo ya kuzungumuza hii kabila yangu, hao watu yangu. Kila mtu ni mtu wetu.
We are one indivisible united country under God, with one map, one flag, one national anthem.
Mambo ya regionalism tuachane nayo. Kama Bungoma inaendelea, Kakamega tunajua itaendelea, Busia itaendelea, na Kenya mzima itaendelea kwenda mbele.
The president also announced his trip to South Korea to attend South Korea Africa Summit this evening.
Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says he will continue preaching peace and unity of purpose across the country to achieve development. Speaking in Timau, Meru County, the Deputy President described himself as a peacemaker, explaining that his call for unity, beginning with his home region of Mount Kenya, is for the greater good of the nation and its development.
Speaking in Buri constituency in Meru County, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua defended his call for national forgiveness following a highly divisive 2022 general election, saying such healing was the way to go for the country to progress.
We have had our own shares of disunity in this region ambayo imetuhangaisha kiasi. Na mimi nikiwa kiongozi ninaona haya. Hapa katika kaunti yetu ya Meru hatujakuwa na amani kwa muda. Na hiyo inatatiza maendeleo.
Addressing a congregation at Our Lady of Visitation Catholic Church in Timau, the Deputy President was accompanied by his spouse, Pastor Dorcas Gregathi, and Meru County Governor Kawira Mwangaza, among other leaders, explained that he came into office a bitter man, given the humiliation and persecution he was subjected to by the previous regime. However, the Deputy President explained that he has gradually healed following consistent prayers and he is ready to forgive those who persecuted him.
I want to appeal to all leaders to embrace forgiveness. It's there in the Bible. I, Rigathi Gachagua, was badly wounded before the election. I was humiliated. I was persecuted. I came into office a very bitter person. But through prayer, and I want to thank my wife, she prayed for me, and within 1 year, all the bitterness had gone. I was a healed person.
The DP's spouse, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, asked Christians to support the ongoing nationwide crackdown on fight against illicit brews and drug abuse so that Kenya can have a sober population.
Hii pombe na miadarati imetufanya madhara makubwa sana. Na kwa hivyo ni lazima tuungane, tusimame kama kina mama na wazazi, tuende tuchukue watoto wetu, tuwatoe hiyo madawa kwa kichwa na tuwapende ndio waweze kurudi nyumbani na waweze kujenga taifa letu.
To matters budget now, where the National Assembly Budget and Appropriation Committee Chairperson Ndindi Nyoro has hinted at an increment of the 2024-25 budget to 4 trillion shillings from the initial estimate of 3.14 trillion. Speaking in Maralal Town, that is in Samburu County, Nyoro said an ongoing consultation might also see a budget increment in the devolved units. He also assured the striking junior secondary school teachers that the government has also set aside 15 billion shillings for their permanent and pensionable employment and called on the Teachers Service Commission, the TSC, to expedite their employment once it received the budgetary allocation.
Na katika hayo mambo ya bajeti tumeongeza pesa ya elimu. Na hiyo pesa ya elimu itakuwa kama 680 billion shillings. Ile pesa itaenda kwa elimu ya watoto wa Kenya. And I want to be very categorical. Pesa ya elimu tumetoa pesa ya kuajiri walimu wa JSS on permanent and pensionable terms.
Tunajua mashida zile ziko kwa Kenya hii. Walimu wa JSS wanataka kuajiriwa. Mumewaona kwa barabara. Hatuna pesa ingine ya kuwapatia isipokuwa ile tutalipia kodi. Walimu hao watoke kwa barabara, waajiriwe kwa sababu ni watoto wetu tulisomesha na ni sisi tutawalipa.
To the political watch, where Kapsaret member of National Assembly, that is Oscar Sudi, has criticized politicians preaching tribalism, terming them enemies of unity and solidarity among Kenyans. In Machakos County, Senator Agnes Kavindu has called on President William Ruto to reduce the price of some products he aims to tax in the new finance bill. Details in our political news wrap.
Speaking during a fundraising at Friends Church in Kakamega, Kapsaret legislator Oscar Sudi also urged Kenyans to be cautious when electing leaders and not be misled by tribal interest.
Wametuonesha mfano mzuri. Na nataka niwaambie leo, ukiona hata senta yenu haina Mkikuyu, ujue kuna shida. Kwa sababu hao Wakikuyu ni watu wa maajabu. Na hiyo ndio mfano mzuri mnaotuweka katika taifa la Kenya. Ukienda Lodwar utawapata. Ukienda Mombasa utawapata. Ukikuja Eldoret utawapata. Ukikuja hapa Kakamega utawapata. Si kweli jamani? Na ndio tunataka tushikane. Hii maana ya kusema sisi ni watu wa Kenya, sisi watu na mlima, hiyo maneno tuache.
Sentiments separately echoed by Mbeere North Member of Parliament Geoffrey Ruku, who challenged Mount Kenya leaders to unite and shun politics of division.
Don't entertain anybody who is going to bring division, who is going to bring a discord between yourself and the Deputy President and other leaders from Mount Kenya. We want to be one people who cannot be divided.
His Othaya counterpart Wambugwa Inaina also accused a section of politicians from Mount Kenya region of being power hungry at the expense of the unity of the region.
Na wakati president wetu aliona yule mtu ataweza kufanya kazi na yeye ni Rigathi Gachagua, aliwacha watu wengi sana huko nje, na sababu aliona ndio kiongozi, akasema ni huyu nitafanya kazi na yeye ndio watengeneze nchi yetu ya Kenya.
In Machakos, the county senator Agnes Kavindu has urged President William Ruto to instead reduce the price of some products targeted for price increments under the finance bill.
Kutaenda kuwa pia na taxation hata ya land. Sasa hizi kodi zikienda hivyo, kuku, umbwa, nini zote, tutaenda wapi? Tutakimbilia wapi? Sisi wa Kenya tumechoka, tunataka kodi iteremshwe. Asanteni.
Still in Machakos, the Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi has urged politicians across the political aisle to tone down on abuses and redirect their energies to serving the electorate.
Politics should be about who has a better policy to transform a country, to transform a county, to transform a constituency, to transform a ward. Not about who abuses the other, the loudest, or the unthinkable terms. So I urge our people, because I've seen so many of us deviating from the core call for leadership.
Meanwhile, a section of MPs from Nyanza is pleading with the government to urgently implement President William Ruto's promises to Nyanza residents to make it easy for them to make inroads in the area. The leaders say that Nyanza residents were doubting them with questions about the promises, making it hard for them to sell the government and Kenya Kwanza policies.
If you are building roads in central Kenya, and Rift Valley, give us our fair share of roads. That's our aim. If we are employing army people, give us our fair share of army people. If we are doing markets, that is how you will win these people. So these people respond to what government does.
Governors who have served full term may be barred for 5 years, that is, from vying for the Senate position in the next immediate election if a bill to amend the Constitution sails through. The Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2023 seeks to amend Articles 99 Cap 2 and 193 Cap 2 of the Constitution and Sections 24 Cap 2 and 25 Cap 2 of the Elections Act to bar a governor who has served a full term from eligibility as a senatorial candidate or a member of county assembly. The bill is currently in its second reading stage at the Senate and has received varied opinions from the senators, with its opponents arguing that it might infringe on political freedoms and rights.
Senators on Thursday began debate on the bill, with the sponsor-nominated Senator Raphael Chimera saying if enacted, it will allow the House perform its oversight role, especially holding to account former county bosses on any audit or integrity queries during their tenure.
I shudder to imagine that somebody who served as a full-term governor appears before a committee he sits as a member, a committee he chairs perhaps, and there are questions as to the misdirection, misapplication of finances under his watch, and then you expect there will be no conflict of interest from that particular individual, Mr. Speaker.
The bill, however, elicited varied opinions, with some asserting the supremacy of integrity, while others terming it a violation of political freedoms and rights.
The proposed limitation that seeks to bar governors from running for Senate and our county assembly, Mr. Speaker, is reasonable and justifiable, as it is limited to the offices which directly exercise oversight of our county governments.
There's no political hygiene. Somebody climbing to the highest seat in a county, then starting to scramble back to compete with people who are now building their careers.
If we are saying if a Governor X runs for Senate and EACC are investigating him, then we come to Parliament and again subject him to the legal hurdle of not being elected, Mr. Speaker, and there is presumption of innocence. We are subjecting that individual or those individuals to principle of double jeopardy.
The spirit of this bill has got nothing to do with limiting anyone's rights. The spirit of this bill has got everything to do with oversight and ensuring that those who intend to take up these offices as governors particularly understand that no, you're not going to be a governor and then come and sit in the Senate to cover up the corrupt dealings that your administration was involved in, Mr. Speaker.
The worst that could have happened is if the mover of the motion had said they be bad completely. He's only saying they cool for 5 years to allow any mess that might have taken place in their office to be sorted out.
Since the inception of the Constitution, a number of former governors have, after completing their terms, found their way to the Senate or County Assembly in the subsequent elections. The current Bungoma Governor, Ken Lusaka, served as Senate Speaker after serving one term as Governor. Uasin Gishu Senator Jackson Mandago and his Mandera counterpart Ali Roba moved to Senate immediately after serving full terms as governors. The current Senate Speaker, Amason Kingi, is immediate former Kilifi Governor.
Are you telling me, Mr. Speaker, that while Speaker Lusaka was seated where you are, with those immense powers, there were no questions of oversight, begging from his tenure in Bungoma? Are you telling me there are no such questions emanating from the county of Mandera, county of Uasin Gishu, and the county of Kilifi?
If we were to resource our committees, such that by the time an election of 2027 is done, the Public Accounts Committee has considered the audit report of 26-27. Then the governor who is serving second term, like Bungoma governor, can run for Senate and come here, Mr. Speaker. That is the point that we are trying to say, that it is our own making. We are shooting our own foot, Mr. Speaker.
Debate on the bill is set to continue when Senate resumes from a 3-week recess.
Thank you, Kamcha Menza, for that report. Now, Parliament has been urged to create a legal framework to facilitate the recognition and rewarding of media legends in the country. Music and Copyright Association of Kenya Chief Executive Officer, that is Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, said besides athletes, Kenyan veteran broadcasters also deserve recognition. He was speaking during celebrations to mark 84th birthday of veteran Kenya Broadcasting Corporation broadcaster, that is Leonard Mambo Botella, in Nairobi, organized by the Association of Professional Broadcasters.
We have to begin by honoring those who are before us, those who sacrificed and through their talents and gifts and professionalism made this country the beautiful country it is. We are appealing that begins with Leonard Mambo Botella.
Lolote ufanyalo, uwe nani, be humble in life. Yes. Be humble in life. Live with humility. Na Mungu atakubariki. Happy birthday.
Let's look at the county news, where the Kikuyu Council of Elders is calling on the political class to end the double speak and fight for the interests of the electorate. Speaking in Ndumberi, Kiambu County, the elders said politicians, especially the elected leaders, have failed to prevent the implementation of unfriendly policies. More of this in our county news roundup.
The Kikuyu Council of Elders National Chairman Wachira Kiago says the Finance Bill 2024 must be cured of oppressive proposals, which he argues may disenfranchise the public. He said that elected leaders must work in the best interest of the electorate.
Tunasema hakuna jamii hata moja inatakana inyang'anywe kiwango yao ya pesa ile wanapewa. Lakini yetu kama Wakikuyu iletwe na yetu inatosha. Hebu wakae na yao lakini yetu kwa sababu tunajua haijafanywa haki, tunataka tufanyiwe haki.
Meanwhile, a new board of directors has taken over the management of the controversial Midlands Limited in Nyandarua County after 10 years of closure due to a legal battle over the 25 acres parcel of land it sits on.
Wakati kulikuwa na mvua, wamama wengi wapo wanapata kazi, lakini kama hiki kiwanda kilikuwa kinaendelea, wamama wangekuwa nakosa kazi.
And more than 150 residents from Meru have benefited from free eye, diabetes and sugar level clinic courtesy of Lions Club of Kenya.
Na 5 principles tunakuwa nazo tukiwa Lions, tunakuwa na vision, tunakuwa na environment, kupanda miti, childhood cancer, diabetes.
Elsewhere, the county government of Kajiado has declared Ipomia weed a disaster due to its devastating effects on pasture. The leaders said the weed is threatening livestock keeping, which is the main economic activity of the county.
As a county that is heavily dependent on pastoralism, we are very, very concerned that the continued expansion of Ipomia undermines our effort in our pastoralism endeavor.
Now let's cross borders, where the African National Congress ANC party says it's committed to forming a government that reflects the will of the people of South Africa. The party, however, has vowed not to replace President Cyril Ramaphosa as a condition to forming a new governing coalition. According to the party's Secretary General, that is Fikile Mbalula, the party will first discuss internally to map out the next steps and urge people to respect the law.
Nearly all the ballots have been counted in South Africa, but the ruling African National Congress ANC has received only 40.21% of votes in Wednesday's election. South Africa's Police Minister Becky Cele says law and order forces are primed and ready to ensure a continued peaceful environment once the final election results are announced. The African National Congress Party's Secretary General Fikile Mbalula noted that the party is committed to forming a government that reflects the will of the people.
We enter a new term with both a clear mandate and a firm commitment to improve the maintenance of infrastructure and the provision of services in communities throughout the country. The ANC is committed to the formation of a government that reflects the will of the people.
Mbalula further observed that the party had been humbled by an election that ended its 30-year majority, but vowed not to replace President Cyril Ramaphosa as a condition to forming a new governing coalition. Political parties will then have 2 weeks to work out a deal before a new parliament sits to choose a president, who would likely still emerge from the ANC as the biggest party.
Kenya Sevens rugby team Shujaa returned to the World Series following a 35-15 victory over Germany in a tense playoff match in Madrid. Germany went over the line first before captain Vincent Onyala leveled, then Tony Omondi converted to put them 7-5 ahead. Ojwang scored a try for Kenya, but the conversion was unsuccessful for a 12-10 score in favor of Kevin Wambua's men at halftime. Now, John Okoth then extended the lead with a try converted by Omondi for 19-10, but Germany reduced the deficit to 19-15 to set up a tense finish. However, Kenya added further tries to secure a 35-15 finish to return to the World Series in style. The tie was actually a repeat of their quarter-final encounter during the Challenger Series in Munich, where host Germany beat Kenya 19-17. Well, that's where we end the news this morning. Thank you so much, as usual, for your company. My name is Marie Yambo. Up next is Mike Migwe, who is having our political analysts in studio ready to take you through the political intrigues of the weekend. My name is Marie Yambo.